Good morning. Welcome everyone to our next 30-day challenge. The day has arrived and I am so enthusiastic about this next 30 days. So, we've got a lot of new people that have signed up here. So I thought I'd just do a little bit of housekeeping and a little just introducing what exactly this 30-day challenge entails. First of all, I want to say that you can't do it right and you can't do it wrong. So Kara and I have taken some foundation classes and access consciousness classes. Access consciousness, you can look it up to learn more information, but it's all about being conscious, being aware of everything around you. And one of the things that we learned few years ago was taking a question and saying it 30 times a day for 30 days, which sounds really kind of bizarre, but you guys who haven't been here and haven't done this before with us, you are going to really see some changes over the next 30 days. And we're going to be using some terms and saying some things that might sound really weird. And one of them is the clearing statement. And it's right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And you can find out a lot more information about that at theclearingstatement.com. But basically, it's like a magic wand that you take anything, any point of view you have, and you take this magic wand, and it goes back to the point of creation. So I'm just going to give you a little example for points of views, and really even actually invite you to look at your points of views and ask, are they actually even yours? And where did they come from? So at some point in our life, everything we believe, we learned from someone or something. And so the point of creation goes back to that moment, that time. And it could be from another lifetime. It could be from this lifetime. It could be from your parents, from your family, from your teachers, from your peers, from your coworkers, whatever that might be. It goes back to that point where you bought something is real and true, and it gets rid of it. And the point of destruction, which is part of the clearing statement, and I'm not going to go into any more except for these two things, because there's a lot to it. But the point of destruction means that when you take on a point of view, you then have to prove that point of view is right, even if it means cutting off pieces of yourself. So we're kind of funny humans that way, and we are okay. This isn't a conscious thing that we do, but we have to be right. And so even if it doesn't align with what feels light in our world, we continue to prove our point of view is right. So we cut off pieces of ourselves in order to do that. So the clearing statement just takes all of that and gets rid of it. And as we say the question over and over and over, it digs deeper through these layers and brings stuff to the surface and just gets rid of it. And you know what that does? It creates a whole lot of space for us so that we can choose whatever it is that feels light in our world. So that's just a little bit about the clearing statement. And as far as the question goes, good morning, Kara. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. You can join us in the 30 days, Facebook Live, live with us, and you can say it with us. You can just listen. You can say whatever they're saying. I'll have that, please. You can do it by yourself. You can watch the replay at any time. You can listen to the replay on mute. You can say, the question 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the afternoon, and 10 times at night. Do you get what I'm saying here? There's really no right or wrong way to do it. Whatever works for you, and you can play around with it. You might skip a day. There's no right or wrong way. There's no good or bad. It's just whatever works for you. And let's begin this 30-day challenge. So you may have seen already that our next question is, if I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And then at the end of the question, we always say the clearing statement. So we say the question, it brings up all sorts of stuff for us, and then this clearing statement's like a magical little wand that poof takes it all away. So everything that is times a gazillion, will you now destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And you can, when I say, will you destroy and uncreate all of that, you can say yes, yes, please. You can, energetically acknowledge it. You can say it out loud. You can say the question out loud. You can say the question in your head. You get my point. There's really no right or wrong way of doing this. But some of you might be like, why would I want to be vulnerable? Like, we have the definition of vulnerability as a bad thing, as a weakness. We look at like vulnerable populations. The elderly are vulnerable people. Children are vulnerable, as if it's a bad thing. So I have shared this book many times, Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane here. He's one of the co-founders of Access Consciousness. And he talks about vulnerability in this book. It's part of like the 5 elements of intimacy. So I just wanted to read this to you. Love the clearing statement, Crystal says, but still do not have it memorized. That's okay. You know what? I actually wrote it down in the beginning, and I just, said it over and over and over, because I'm kind of a freak that way, that I want to like memorize things. But you can actually say pot and pock. You don't have to say the full clearing statement. If you really want to say it and you don't have it quite memorized yet, you can say, and everything that is times a gazillion, pot and pock. Anyways. So vulnerability is like an open wound where you have absolutely no barriers. Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about barriers. So barriers are our points of views, our beliefs, these things that we put up around us. They're like walls. So anytime we have a specific belief or a specific point of view, it's like putting up walls around us. It like imprisons us. Or imagine like a horse in a race having their little blinders on, so that you can't see anything else, because you have to prove the rightness of your point of view. So when your walls are up, there's all sorts of possibilities out there, but we can't see them. They're not available to us because we won't let them be available to us, because we have to prove our point of view. We have to be right. So we can't see all of this yumminess that is waiting to contribute to us, because we have our barriers up, our walls up, these prison walls. So it's where you have absolutely no barrier, vulnerability. You have no walls up. You have no barriers up to anything that the other person does, to anything you do, and you don't have to prove anything about whom you are. And anything that brings up times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Is that even possible? You can just be there, being you. Again, highly recommend this book, Being You, Changing the World. So have you ever had an open sore on your body, and it's so intense that when the wind blows, it's like, whew? That's like vulnerability. Why is that a good thing, you might be asking yourself? In this reality, what you're told is vulnerability is a bad thing. Oh, this relationship hurt me, so I'm going to put up barriers so that it never happens again. Does that sound familiar to you? Something happens to you and you're never going to allow that to happen again, so you put up these things called barriers. Once you put up enough of those walls and barriers, who is the one trapped behind those walls? It is you, my sweet, sweet friends. You are by the barriers that you erected. One kind of hurts a little bit. So everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I will put that clearing statement up after. Actually, I'll link a video to it if you want to have a look at that by Dane here. So how many barriers have you erected so you wouldn't be vulnerable anymore? which made it so you believed that you wouldn't be hurt anymore, which instead makes it so you continually hurt you and judge you and your partner and everybody else around you. And anything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Oh, Kara has it linked to the top of the page. So if you guys want to have a look at the clearing statement, check it out. For every single one of those barriers you erect, you have to judge whether you're doing it right or not, and whether it's working out or not, and whether it's indeed keeping out the bad, evil thing you wanted to keep out, which keeps you in a constant state of judgment and takes a huge, huge amount of energy. We make our lives so much more difficult than they need to be. So if you're truly willing to be there with no barriers with someone, it creates a totally different possibility because those walls are down. There's way more possibilities available to us. It creates a softness in you, a receiving of everything, and it invites that possibility for them as well. Yeah, it's so crazy when we see where we function from, and that's something that you guys may see over the next 30 days is how many insane points of views that we do have and how crazy we are when it can be so much easier. So welcome to a life of simplicity if you're willing to come on this wild adventure with us. Vulnerability, in direct contrast to what you've been told, is not a weakness. On the contrary, it's the place of true power and potency. Why? Because when you have no barriers and no judgments, you can have total awareness of everything because you have nothing shutting it off and total power and potency available to you. So everything that doesn't allow you to have the potency that true vulnerability is for you, will you destroy and uncreate all of that right now, please? Yes, please. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So let's get started with our 30-day question and just really be gentle with yourself over the next 30 days. Really be in tune with your body and asking your body what it needs. Because as we say this 30-day question, you might have all these points of views rising to the surface, and what we do with them is up to us. We can just let them go, just be aware with our barriers down, which is why this 30-day question is so exciting for me. And it's just like, okay, I'm aware of all these points of views I have, and now I can just let them go. But what your brain might try to do is think. When you're thinking, you're stinking. And it might be like, well, why do I feel like this? And what's happening? And why did I have that point of view? And try to dig deeper into why that is. It doesn't matter. It's always simpler. Back to simplicity. If you're thinking, you're stinking. Just be aware that these energies are going to rise to the surface and they might feel a little bit intense. Let it go. Use the clearing statement, the magic wand. Let it go. And that feeling, that space feeling, when all of these points of views and barriers are releasing out of our reality and out of our like everyday, you might feel like this space, this expansiveness, which might feel really weird to you because we're so used to being in these little prison walls that surround us. Go with it. And just ask questions, always be in question, like, okay, well, what can I be with this energy? What is this? Body, what do you require from me right now? You want to sleep? Great. You want to run? Great. You want to scream? You want to eat? You want to, whatever it is you need to do. You want to go outside and get some fresh air just so that you can just be with this energy. Do whatever it takes. And be on here with us for the next 30 days. Being in this group setting is so amazing, and it's really going to help you like just be this new way of being, which is inviting you to more of you and receiving it all with no point of view. Being vulnerable, my friends. So if I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And really be curious when you're asking. And don't look for the answer. There is no answer. The answer always disempowers us. It's a conclusion. It puts yet another wall up when we are like, okay, well, if I was being me, well, what would that be? Okay, it'd be this. That's a conclusion. That's another barrier and another wall. So it's like, no, just get the sense of the energy it's inviting you to and always being in question. What is this? What is this energy? What can I do with it? Can I change it? And if so, how? Be in question. If you find you're coming up with answers to these questions, remind yourself you're in a conclusion world. You're letting conclusionary Connie be in charge of your world. We'll fire her right now and go beyond that. It's an energetic thing. It's not a solid thing. Thanks, Kara. So if I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up, would you now destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. That's 3. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Body reactions. This one will be just a little bit longer just because it's all explaining all the things that could happen with it. But yawning, you might notice that you're yawning when you say this. That's just the body's way of releasing these stuck energies that you've really held a tight grip on. You might want to cry. Let yourself. That's part of being vulnerable. You might be angry. Be okay with that. Ask questions. What is this? What is this? You know, barriers down. Allow yourself to receive these energies that are coming your way. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. So just be aware that if you are discovering you have certain emotions that are coming, they're not real, for one. Ask, who does this belong to? Is this even mine? Because a lot of these points of views that we had were never ours to begin with. Have you ever noticed that if someone asks you why you do something or why you feel a certain way, that you'd be like, a lot of times be like, I don't really know, actually. And like, we could have bought a point of view as real and true. Maybe it worked for us in that one moment in time. We dealt with the situation in a certain way and that worked. And because of that, that became our conclusion. This is the only way that this is going to work. And even if it's not working, our point of view is so real and true. You know, this prison world, that is the way the only way we know how to do it. We don't know what else is possible. But that's what this is inviting us to, is getting rid of these points of views so that we can make so many new, fabulous, fun choices that are endless. So, if I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And I'm just going to invite you guys, because we do it anyways with the 30-day questions, but this one in particular, which vulnerability is having no barriers. So I'm going to invite you right now to drop your barriers. And if you don't know how to do that, all you have to do is ask. You can visualize yourself slamming these walls down. You can, taking a sledgehammer and shattering these walls like they were a glass wall. Or you can envision them like turning to water and just like flowing away, melting down like snow melting. Whatever visualization works for you. Good morning, Laverne. This question is so magical. So, barriers down. And anytime you're going in your head wondering if you're doing it right, you're thinking. So you're stinking. It's easier. Let it go. Barriers down. And now just imagine the molecules surrounding your skin. And ask those molecules to push out in every direction, because we are energy, you guys. We're not solid. And we are beyond our physical bodies. Our bodies are within us. We are not within our bodies. So imagine pushing the little molecules of us in every direction, out through the front of you, out through the back, out through your sides, up through your head and down through your feet, filling this whole room with you. And then go beyond that into the house that you're in, into the building, into the province, into the country, going beyond that to the continent, and then going beyond that, filling the whole earth with you, down, including down through the earth to the other side, and then go out past the earth into the universe. Go 100,000 miles beyond that, and 100,000 miles beyond that. And from this space, could you truly have any barriers up? No. So from this space, and this is a great thing to do anytime that you find yourself freaking out about something, worried about something, scared about something. Drop your barriers and expand into the infinite space of being, which is you. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. You might feel shivers throughout your body. And again, doing this together is just like makes it that much more powerful. So connecting with one another, because we are all one. We are all energy. If I was being vulnerable with me, with my barriers down, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all name shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all name shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. All right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That's halfway through already, you guys. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what you might notice is that just something just shows up in your world, and just be like, is this what I've been asking for? Showing up how I didn't expect? Because nothing is ever going to show up how you expect. Our mind can only see what we've done before. If you're willing to drop your barriers and go beyond that, you have to get curious with the things that are showing up. And a really fun way to just like be with that thing is be like, okay, well, does this feel light in my world? Or does it make you feel like you're contracting and make you feel like yucky and gross and like heavy? If it feels heavy, it's a lie. Ask more questions, because it might be that your point of view is making it feel heavy. And if you get rid of that point of view, then you're able to look at it. If you're willing to drop your barriers, you're willing to look beyond that. Because an energy, just because it feels weird and feels different, doesn't mean it's like a bad thing. It's different. So what is this energy showing up? Good morning, Kate. Oh, yes. Oh, and good morning, Rhonda. Sorry, I can't read today. This question, it's going to change our worlds. So, yeah, follow the magical energy trail. Follow that lightness. Ask questions, and do the opposite of what you would normally do. That is going to be really the challenge for you guys today. What I invite you to is when something shows up in your world today and you go to react and you go just this automatic way of being to do what you always do, stop yourself and I just invite you to do the opposite of what you would normally do and just see what happens. That's all I ask. So that's a tall order, but it's an invitation. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I know, destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I know, destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I know, destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I see Kara says, challenge accepted. And I see that you have fearless as your picture. So moving beyond all of the distractions, all of our fixed points of views, all of our beliefs, and being willing to be the potent being that you truly be. 10 more, you guys. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And just again reminding yourself to be so gentle because we have been functioning from this way of being for our whole lives and possibly lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So this isn't going to happen overnight. It's a daily practice. It's like strengthening a new muscle that you've never used before. So please be easy on yourself. Please be gentle with yourself and listen to what it is that your body requires of you. And you can ask, body, what do you require from me? And you might have just some awareness come up. You might have a thought. You might just know a knowing of what your body requires. And just go with that. Even if it's something you've never done before, even if it seems crazy and ridiculous, just do it anyways. This is all about doing the opposite of what you normally do because everything is the opposite of what it appears to be and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. This is a whole new way of being and it's going to bring up it's going to challenge you in a lot of ways to look at things differently than you've ever looked at before. So just be willing to be vulnerable with your barriers down. Be the question. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. 3 more. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. If I was being vulnerable with me today, what would I choose? And anything that brings up times a gazillion, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So I'm not sure if you guys can even feel a shift from the beginning of this video to the end. Imagine where we could be in 30 days from now. If you feel nothing, that's okay too. Just go with it. And I know it does seem really, really crazy that we're just saying this thing 30 times a day for 30 days. You will see a change in your world. if you're willing to have your barriers down, if you're willing to receive, if you're willing to do things differently than you've ever done before. So thank you for joining me and Kara on this next 30-day wild and wacky and crazy adventure. I wonder who we will be at the end of this 30 days. And I invite you to a final question you can ask yourself that is one of my favorites. And I know it's one of Kara's favorites. It's another question of access consciousness. Who am I today, and what wild adventure can I get on right away? So it's like every day we're a new person. We start anew, because as we start to release these points of views, we start to get back a piece of ourselves. And so we're going to be changing every day. And you might notice that you are changing, and other people might notice that you're changing, and that might make you want to just not do that, because you're like, oh, I don't want people to like wonder what's wrong with me, or I don't want to stand out, or any of the crazy thoughts that we have come up. Be vulnerable with yourself, like that open wound. Let your barriers down. You're gonna notice that there's a lightness that comes to it. And you have this group. We're here. If you have any questions at all of anything that comes up, please reach out to Kara and I or the group, because a lot of us have been here for several months together. Just do reach out and ask any questions, and we'll be on here, either Kara or I, around 8 o'clock. The times may change and stuff, but we'll try to let you know about that. So yes, Kara, I wonder what magic and miracles await. Have an amazing day, you guys, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.